When the doors were finally opened to Jay Leno's enigmatic garage, the sight inside stunned onlookers for years. Rumors circulated regarding the contents, but the truth was even more shocking than the rumors. Jay Leno's garage was more than a garage. It was a carefully constructed and seldom revealed private world. It's no secret that Jay Leno, host of NBC's The Tonight Show, is a household name, unless you've spent your entire life in the Amazon jungle. However, before he became famous for his interviews with celebrities and the bright lights of the studio, Leno was a performer in his early days, playing seedy clubs like LA's Comedy Store and enduring relentless hustle. While others sought fame, Jay sought out the next gig, joke, awkward silence, and laugh. It was his education. He slept in cars and lived on a tight budget, buying food once a day. He and Z's performed in Chicago and New York, occasionally being bumped off stage by bigger names or ignored by indifferent crowds. In 1977, Jay's name began to generate buzz, and by the late 70s, he had built an act that no one could ignore. He had a strict rule: never spend your TV money live on your stand-up. This meant no wild splurges, no big apartments, just grit, grind, and joke after joke. His life took a dramatic turn when Johnny Carson extended an invitation for him to appear on The Tonight Show. What really mattered, though, was not his appearance so much as his level of preparation. Johnny was impressed by Jay's poise and preparedness, and he continued to return for guest hosting opportunities. Jay demonstrated that he was more than just funny. He was consistent, which propelled him to stardom. Dangerous in a town full of unpredictable personalities, but behind the scenes, everything was complicated. As Carson approached retirement in the early 1990s, a power struggle ensued over who would take over the desk. David Letterman, the critics' favorite and a quiet worker, was expected to succeed Jay. Leno's camp negotiated, and his manager Helen Kushnick played a hard role. Jay Leno's history of controversy and rumors came to an end in 1992, when, despite the criticism and rumors, he took over The Tonight Show, and the nation finally saw his true colors. He wasn't edgy or suave, but he was safe, approachable, and had a real knack for winning audiences over. America adored Jay for his unique brand of quirky humor, and he continued to dominate the ratings night after night. However, what the public failed to notice was his obsession with performing. After taping was over, he would continue to perform stand-up late into the night, not for fame or money, but simply because it kept him sharp. It was in his blood. However, even while the cameras were rolling, Jay was never truly at peace. In 2009, NBC attempted to force Jay to hand off to Conan O'Brien, but Jay reluctantly agreed. However, when Conan's ratings dropped, NBC panicked and Jay went back to his 11:35 spot. By then, the comedy world had turned on him, the narrative had become Conan's betrayal, and behind all the headlines was a man who had never asked to be a villain, just someone who had spent decades surviving and wasn't about to give up. There's a hidden obsession behind Jay Leno's throne, his true home. When he finally stepped down for good in 2014, he didn't disappear. Instead, he returned to his roots and became the same guy who started in those dim-lit clubs, still chasing the next laugh. Now, here's something you probably haven't heard. When you think of Jay Leno, you picture him behind a desk. You could have guessed it from his appearances on The Tonight Show or from the fact that it's housed in one of his more than 180 classic automobiles, but hidden away on Newport, Rhode Island's rocky coast, far from the glitter of Hollywood, sits something you probably didn't anticipate: Seafair's secret retreat, which he bought in 2017 for a mere $13. This mansion is a $5 million Seafair masterpiece. Built in 1936 by millionaire Vera Zevela Reed Jr., the mansion was designed to follow the curve of the Rhode Island coastline, giving it a rare crescent shape. Today, it is one of the most impressive oceanfront estates in the United States, boasting 14,000 square feet of space and perched right on the edge of the Atlantic. It looks like something out of a European postcard, transplanted to America. Located in Newport, this grand mansion was once home to Gilded Age royalty and is now hushly housing a late-night celebrity. Seafair is a picture of opulence, with its limestone walls, soaring columns, expansive lawns, and nearly uninterrupted ocean views from almost every room inside. The house also has 14 bedrooms, 17 bathrooms, and a formal dining room that could be at Versailles. Seafair exudes an air of old-world elegance with its pan-led library, marble fireplaces, and chandeliers that likely outweigh most people's cars. However, what truly sets Seafair apart isn't the French-inspired architecture or the waterfront glamour. It's Jay Leno's frugal lifestyle that makes this estate special. Although Leno is based in California, Seafair reveals a deeper side of his personality. Where he escapes to when he needs peace and quiet, away from the hustle and bustle of the entertainment industry, is Seafair. There, he can hear nothing but the crashing of waves and the cool Atlantic air. Jay once said in an interview that it's like being on the other side of show business, with no traffic, meetings, or deadlines. The estate features a private dock, lush gardens, and a massive swimming pool that blends into the ocean view. Every detail seems tailored for someone who appreciates craftsmanship and history, just like Leno's beloved automobiles. It's his retreat, not his stage. And of course, there's a 6-car garage because, Leno's cars go everywhere. The most surprising thing about Seafair is that it's not about displaying the mansion. Jay Leno, who once ruled late night with millions of viewers, rarely talks publicly about it. He even jokes about it, saying, "It's not like I throw Gatsby parties or anything. I mostly walk around with a sandwich and stare at the water." This is the paradox of Jay Leno. His greatest joy comes from being alone. He doesn't require the paparazzi to make him feel like a king at Seafair. Instead, he lets go. You may be familiar with celebrity mansions, but nothing can compare to Lowe's Big Dog Garage, where Jay Leno keeps his many exotic vehicles. Located close to Burbank Airport in California, the garage has grown from its original 17,000 square feet in 1991 to its current 122,000 square feet across multiple buildings, where vehicles are repaired, restored, and even built from the ground up. Leno's interest in cars led to the gradual expansion of the garage over the years. As the amount of hands-on work increased, Leno expressed his desire for a space that would allow him and his team to work on cars properly. A garage, rather than a showroom or museum. He once said, "The goal is to keep things running, not to hide them behind ropes." That mindset greatly influenced the design of the garage, which is not meant to be aesthetically pleasing. There is a lot of activity going on in the garage, with tools and people moving around. The goal isn't to show off, but to fix, maintain, and learn. Different departments handle different tasks. For mechanical repairs, there are sections with car lifts and zones for paint and body work. Many of the vehicles that pass through the garage are old or parts for rare vehicles can be difficult to come by, but that's never an issue for Leno and his crew. They typically fabricate the parts in-house, using their state-of-the-art machinery. Bernard Juki, the garage manager, oversees the daily operations of the business. Juki has extensive experience in racing and mechanical work, and Leno has complete faith in him. Bernard keeps things running smoothly at the garage, and Leno is always involved. He enjoys fixing things and relies on his team to get big jobs done right. The garage has evolved over the years to include staff offices, a kitchen, and storage spaces for tools and supplies. Everything has a purpose, and the goal is to maintain it as a functional workplace, not a showroom. With a $50 million collection of valuable machines inside, the garage takes security seriously. Classic tools and modern machines work together to help the team work on vehicles from different time periods. The place is monitored 24/7 and patrols regularly, but despite the high level of security, it still feels like a workshop. The focus is on the work, not the status quo. At Big Dog Garage, the cars are driven, tested, and kept in working order, not merely polished and left alone. You might be surprised by how someone could build such a massive garage, but that's not the most surprising part. He believes in owning vehicles for their intended purpose, not just for show. What's to come? It's not just about the garage size. It's about the collection that Jay Leno keeps inside. As an enthusiast who loves everything from vintage steam engines to cutting-edge supercars, Leno has always been more than just a celebrity car collector. As of 2024, it boasts a staggering 181 cars and 160 motorcycles, valued at over $52 million. Among the most intriguing and historic items housed in his garage are those from the steam and electric eras of automotive history. As an example, Leno possesses a 1906 advanced steam tractor, among other unique and diverse pieces. On display at the museum is a 1909 Baker Electric, serving as a reminder that electric cars have been around for a while. These rare and intricate machines are difficult to maintain, but Leno relishes the challenge. Among his collection of historic and high-performance classics are Bentleys, Bugattis, and Duesenbergs. One of his most remarkable vehicles is the Bugatti Type 57, a masterpiece of pre-war European engineering and design, is just one of many historic vehicles that Leno meticulously maintains in his garage. Other classic muscle cars, such as Dodge Challengers, vintage Mustangs, and others, each have their own story and, in the case of many, have. Although Jay Leno now drives a fleet of Bentleys and Lamborghinis, he once drove a modest Chevy Volt around town and even to the airport on bad weather days. The cars have been restored or modified in his workshop and reflect the raw power and design spirit of American car culture from the 1960s and 1970s. At the 2011 Los Angeles Auto Show, he told the press, "It's a great everyday car." However, when it comes to modern engineering and design, Leno isn't shy either. One of his most famous cars, a 1994 McLaren F1, is often regarded as the best performance car of its time. It can reach speeds of over 250 mph. He spent about $800,000 on it in the 1990s, and now it's worth between $17 million and $20 million. But he still drives it. He says it's just a car, not an investment. And then there's the Blastoise Special, or the tank car. It has a 29-liter engine taken from a military tank and looks as crazy as it sounds. The GM EcoJet is a rare machine that Leno frequently takes for drives. It is street legal and weighs over 9,500 pounds. The car was designed with sustainability and performance in mind. It looks like a spaceship and sounds like a jet turbine. It runs on biodiesel. It's no wonder Jay Leno helped develop this one-of-a-kind vehicle, a 1972 Mercedes-Benz 600 compressor, among all the rare and flashy ones. Leno always talks fondly about this luxury sedan, which was already impressive before he got his hands on it. Transformed with a contemporary supercharged engine, the end product is an exceptional fusion of retro-styled opulence and cutting-edge performance. It's powerful, serene, and brimming with personality, exactly how Leno enjoys his automobiles. His collecting philosophy is analytical. He doesn't purchase vehicles for their rarity or price, but rather for their inherent interest, quality construction, and narrative potential. While working closely with his team to restore and maintain each one, often getting his hands dirty, Jay Leno once said. You learn more when you fix something than when you just write a check. What truly distinguishes this collection from others isn't its size or price tags, but rather Leno's philosophy and belief that these rare. In contrast to many collectors who keep their vehicles in climate-controlled storage, Jay Leno maintains the firm belief that every vehicle, regardless of its age, rarity, or value, should be in full working order and put the collector's ideology into practice whenever possible. Leno's belief that cars are meant to be driven informs his daily life. He has a massive collection of 181 cars and 160 motorcycles, which he uses for more than just show. People often see him cruising around Burbank, California, where he lives and where his Big Dog Garage is located. He frequently appears at charity events, car club meets, and other enthusiast gatherings behind the wheel of his more unusual vehicles, such as his 1909 Baker electric, jet-powered EcoJet, and massive Blasterine tank car. These aren't stage moments. He genuinely enjoys driving, testing, and feeling every part of each machine. During his frequent appearances at events such as Pebble Beach Concours de Lions or Cars and Coffee Meets, Leno is often seen arriving in restored American muscle cars or Duesenbergs. These outings are not meant for self-promotion, but rather to share Leno's passion for these vehicles and demonstrate that even the most historic vehicles can be a part of modern life. Reports indicate that while performing routine maintenance on one of his classic steam-powered vehicles, Jay Leno was severely injured in a fire that broke out in his Big Dog Garage in Burbank. The accident rocked the car enthusiast community. Apparently, the incident started when a fuel leak sprayed gasoline onto Leno's face and hands, and a spark ignited the vapors. The incident resulted in second- and third-degree burns to Leno's face, chest, and hands. He was quickly transported to the Grossman Burn Center in Los Angeles for treatment, which included skin graft surgery and hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Despite the seriousness of his burns, Leno remained upbeat and humorous during his stay, making jokes with the medical staff and keeping up his. In a remarkable display of resilience and the profound personal connection he shares with his collection, Leno returned to the garage and was back on the road within weeks of the accident. More recently, Leno made the monumental decision to step away from The Tonight Show, but what really caught everyone off guard wasn't his retirement, but rather his trademark sense of humor. It was his subsequent actions that captivated audiences when Jay Leno left The Tonight Show. Many were curious about his future plans, but it didn't take long to figure out that, instead of disappearing from public view, Leno pursued his lifelong passion for cars. This newfound interest in restoration brought him even closer to fans who shared his enthusiasm. Jay Leno's Garage, which he debuted on CNBC in 2015, went from being a side hobby to a full-fledged production that ran for 7 Emmy-winning seasons. The show didn't focus on glitz and exclusivity, but rather on mechanical beauty, rare classics, high-tech prototypes, and honest discussions about the unique qualities of automobiles. Whether he was chatting with fellow car enthusiasts while driving a century-old steam engine or a state-of-the-art electric vehicle, Leno's genuine enthusiasm was the show-stopping factor. Following its run on CNBC, Jay Leno's Garage continued on YouTube, where it currently boasts over 3.6 million members who subscribe. Long-form videos, in-depth analysis of rare models, celebrity interviews, and impromptu drives through Burbank kept the channel interesting and engaging for viewers beyond the screen. Leno's print media presence also grew. He frequently contributed to Popular Mechanics, where he offered restoration tips and explained. No matter the topic, whether it was discussing how to rebuild a carburetor or the difference between early EV models and modern ones, his tone was always welcoming, making engineering concepts easy to understand even for beginners. He also contributed to the Sunday Times in the UK, where his stories reached international audiences, and wisdom gained from a lifetime spent driving, collecting, and repairing cars, Leno has maintained a public profile through guest appearances on talk shows and other television shows, as well as stand-up comedy and speaking engagements, frequently incorporating anecdotes about cars into his routines. Through it all, Jay Leno hasn't just stayed relevant. He's reimagined himself as a full-time car guy, proving that retirement isn't necessarily about stepping back for Leno. Rather, it's about accelerating in a new direction. What are your thoughts on Jay Leno's amazing garage and his eccentric automobile collection? Tell us what you think in the comments. Is there a particular vehicle in his collection that you like, or do you have your own ideal garage?